Connection, we provide parent-to-parent services for families that have a child or a loved one, a young adult, with a disability, a chronic health condition, behavioral health concern, or they're curious about whether their child has a learning disability and they need help and support. Our services help families focus on navigating the complex systems that families find themselves in when their child is diagnosed with a disability or a chronic health condition. We usually see families come to us when their child is young, initially, children birth to 5. We will have families call us because they're just receiving maybe a new diagnosis of their infant or toddler, or they're curious that, they know that their child might not be meeting their developmental milestones and they don't understand what's happening. And so our services, we are able to help them understand where to get the services, navigate the healthcare system, which can be really confusing, and ultimately then we can help follow you through your child's journey into the helping understand the complicated services that you might find in a school setting, and help families get those services for their child so that that child can reach their full potential. This year we are celebrating 30 years of being in business. Over the past 30 years, we have helped over 100,000 South Carolinians. Typically in a year, we provide with our direct practice services, about 3,500 families will receive one-on-one support and help in a navigation service. We have over 600 support parent volunteers in a database that we can also match another family with. We hope to involve other families that maybe have received support services from Family Connection to also then they come back and provide those support services.
My husband, Charles, and I have been married for going on almost 10 years, and our son, Trip, is a second grader, and he is the best big brother to Ellington. Ellington, had a typical birth. There wasn't actually any indication during pregnancy that anything was different or, going the way it shouldn't be. But we noticed kind of early on that she was missing some of those developmental milestones. And so after talking with our pediatrician and getting connected, we kind of went through the process of trying to figure out kind of the why. Initially she just had a diagnosis of global developmental delay. And that is hard because, and that's really what kind of brought me to Family Connections, because it doesn't really explain the why. And I think probably because of who I am professionally, I wanted a why. I wanted to know kind of how do we address this and how do we make sure we access as much as we can. So I leaned really heavily on organizations like BabyNet and Family Connections to make sure that I was giving her a chance to have access to anything and everything that was out there. And we were able to do some genetic testing through Greenwood Genetics, and that's how we got her diagnosis. It's a string of letters, KCNQ3. So it impacts her brain development, and some of the kids have seizures and visual impairments. Autism is pretty prevalent in the grouping of KCNQ3 kids, but there's not that many of us, like less than 30 in the whole world. And so, when you think about Family Connections and their ability to connect kind of local families when you have a child who has something like that rare, that there's nobody in South Carolina with that diagnosis, it can feel kind of lonely. But what I found was it's not about the diagnosis, it's more about connecting you with other families who understand the journey and what's scary about it. She is just a ray of sunshine. We have said we are really, really fortunate that she's just got this big laugh and smile, and she gets very excited. She loves music and she loves to dance, and she really loves balls of any shape or size. She loves to throw them or bounce them. She loves her big brother, has since she was an infant. She will just stare at him.
At Family Connection, we are South Carolina's Parent Training and Information Center, which is a federal designation with the U.S. Department, the Office of Special Education in D.C. And so we are able to provide parents and professionals at no cost trainings so that families understand their rights and responsibilities under the Special Education Law, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or the Americans with Disabilities Act, and the services that their child or their young adult might qualify for. We help arrange for professional development. We provide a parent academy, a parent leadership academy, where parents can go through a short training if they want to become advocates and prepare them to sit on either local, state, or even national committees to prepare them to become advocates for their child. We also partner and provide training opportunities for youth with disabilities as well, so that ultimately we want our children to learn to be their own self-advocate. Every year we offer a 2-day conference called Hopes and Dreams. We have tracks for professionals and for parents. But what we believe in here at Family Connection, that there's a real importance that parents and students and children be viewed as an important part of that child's healthcare team, that child's school team. And so part of modeling that is providing this 2-day conference where you're side-by-side parents with professionals hearing the same information, learning the same types of new interventions or teaching mechanisms, because that's an important piece that we want families to feel like they're an equal part and have the same types of information to be able to ask the best questions on behalf of their child as their child's going through their journey. We are a nonprofit, and therefore we rely on donations and gifts for not just your time. There are volunteer opportunities as well, but it's very important for folks to donate to Family Connection so that we can offer a 2-day conference to a parent at no cost and offer that type of scholarship to be able to provide the specialty care notebooks that we have for families that have a child in a neonatal intensive care unit in one of our children's hospitals. In order to do that, Family Connection Day, we have 2 major events that people can get involved with. One of them is in October. October is Down Syndrome Awareness Month, and in the Midlands area in Columbia, we host what's called a buddy walk, which is through the National Down Syndrome Association, and we host one here in Columbia, and we usually have about 1,200 folks show up and honor their special buddy who is a child or a loved one who has a diagnosis of Down syndrome. And so we take that opportunity to celebrate.
I think is huge because we are really fortunate to have like a great family and friend system, but we didn't have any good friends who had experienced having a child with a medical condition or, delays, who needed the level of services that Ellington needed. And it can feel really isolating, even though everyone's around you. And so I think to just feel like you belong, you don't have to explain kind of what is different about your child. I felt like every time we either reached out to Family Connections or we were lucky enough, they do an event called the Look exhibit, where they have local photographers take pictures with families. And so we did that right before Ellington's 2nd birthday, which actually ended up being right before her diagnosis. And it was such an awesome experience. Not only was the photographer really, really wonderful, we got these amazing pictures, but kind of like the actual event is that they've got pictures of all of these children and families coming together. And it was really it was an amazing opportunity for my family, like not just Charles and myself and Tripp, who kind of live with Ellington every day, but my parents came in town. So we had grandparents, we had my sister, everybody come and kind of get to participate and get to be part of this big community. It was really, really powerful. So. There's a lot of things about being a mom that's scary. I think that's like universal, right? You're pregnant, you're worried that you're eating the right things, and then you have this baby and, are they healthy? And then are they reaching developmental milestones? Every time you go to the pediatrician, you fill out a checklist. And I remember with my son Tripp, feeling a lot of pride, checking off, yes, he's doing this, and yes, he's doing that. And so it was really interesting to then have a very different experience 3 years later with Ellington, where we couldn't, probably starting around 4 months, we couldn't say, yeah, she's doing this. Yeah, she's doing this. We said no to a lot of things, and you start feeling a level of responsibility. And so, I know I keep using the word isolating, but it can be isolating. And so I think when I think of that first year, really prior to accessing services through what Family Connections connected us with, and then also like Ellington being able to like qualify for BabyNet services and build up that therapy team, it felt like it was us against the world. And that's not a good feeling for anybody. And so then since then, I feel like every year our team for Ellington just grows. We don't ever really lose anybody, even if we change service providers. It's just like we get this opportunity. So, going to an event at Family Connections or, we're walking into a clinic for therapy, it just becomes more people who are working with us to support her. And it just changes your whole mindset.